Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Creatives on Business. My name is Henry Marsh. Thank you once again for joining us on the show where I chat to all of the creative people out there in the world about how they've made an amazing business and life around their passion. Across from me, we've got the most amazing lady, Michelle Oppenshaw, who is a creative director and choreographer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a big pleasure. We were chatting outside. You are the first lady on the show.
I'm excited about that.
Which is amazing. And we do need to get more ladies on the show because I think there's lots of amazing creative businesswomen out there.
It's that thing now. I like it.
So Michelle, for the people who don't know, who is Michelle Oppenshaw? What do you do?
Okay, so I'm a choreographer. So mainly I have a dance background. I've danced my entire life. So moving naturally from being a dancer to the actual person who performs and creates the performances. So that's what a choreographer does. And then I moved from that into actually being the creative director for different shows and performances because I started to learn all the different dynamics that go around events and shows and productions and stuff. So broader vision. So it started with dance. It started with a variety of dance styles. So one of those random people that did like from ballet to Latin and ballroom to like super hip hop and like bourgeois and stuff like that people just don't expect to see from me. So I'm one of those people that's like a chameleon. So I kind of grew with it and then I grew upwards. So
have you been dancing since you were like
one? Like when I was born, my grandparents were like, they weren't allowed to say that my mom had a baby or that it was a female or what. So they were just like, it's a stepping point. And then everyone understood Cheryl had a baby and Cheryl has a girl because it was a stepping point, like ballet. So it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe it was like prophetic or I don't know what, but it was like, that was my life. I had no option.
Just prophetic. I love that. But how did you? So you were dancing from the age of 1.
Yeah.
At what point did you become like just into the choreography and stuff? Did something happen?
To be honest, when I was 12, I actually remember. And this is my first question. This is what I'm letting out there into the universe. Great. I remember choreographing my teddies, and I actually had a file that I would file everything, and I would write their name and their routines, and then I would write what they needed to train, where they needed to go with it, and then everyone kind of picked up. Michelle had a thing about like structure and dance. So it wasn't just dance and the expression of it. It was like there was structure to dance, and there was like structure and purpose, and there was like direction. So that was kind of the first step, and then I started choreographing my own routines competitively from the age of 12 already. My trainers actually at one point said to my parents, like, they don't really know what to teach me because I just do everything myself. So from 12, my whole competitive career was basically me choreographing my own routines for competitions, and then I was needing to do fundraisers to go and represent South Africa overseas, and I was like, okay, well then we'll just do like a big show, like a dinner dance. And my parents are like, okay, do you know that takes a lot of work? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll just throw this together, do that. And I just kind of did things naturally, and I'm quite a leader-y kind of person, I would like to think. So I would do things and I'd find ways around things. So when they're like, you don't have budget for this, I'd be like, cool, I'll put on a show with 0 budgets. And then I make money, obviously. So I've done 3 big productions as fundraisers just because I needed to compete somewhere. And I was like, okay, cool, what do I need? I'll do it. And then people started seeing what I do. And then I was on the show Strictly Come Dancing. When was that? 2015-ish, I think. And then Strictly Come Dancing changed. They became Dancing with the Stars. I did that as well. And so on the show, you're working with these celebrities that can't dance. And so you have to work with them, train them, but you're also choreographing your routines.
You weren't 12 at this stage, hey?
No, I wasn't 12.
Okay,
that was 2015. Hold on. No, I'm not even going to say how. No, that's a trick question.
You don't have to give the age away here. Just want to establish this is a number of years later.
Many years after school. So on the show, there was choreographers and professionals watching, and I had some entertainment companies see me on the show and then call me up afterwards to become their principal head choreographer for corporate events and for launches and for music videos and for different stuff like that. So that's actually how it kind of naturally grew into me being a choreographer. And then I got tired of really having to work under other people, and I started my own company.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been choreographing. Is that
choreographing.
There's the word. Exactly. Since the age of 12.
Yeah.
And was it just inherent, or did you see things on like TV or?
I did see things on TV, and then I would I would see the pieces that I liked, and then I would just put them together in the order that I wanted. So I think it was just me going, I want this, I like this is what I'm gonna do, which is actually the best way to do things. As a choreographer, whatever feels good, whatever you like, put them all together. And I was like, no, I don't like that, so I just don't do it. So then I would put my own routines together from what I watched. I think the first movie that really inspired me was Honey 1. The first Honey with Jessica Alba. I knew every routine. I also knew all Britney Spears' routines as well. That's on record. I
feel like that's okay.
Still break out into those routines.
Yeah, I feel like that's okay. I feel like I grew up watching Britney Spears doing things.
She had one of the best choreographers. I'm not going to say who he is now because I think there's some controversy around him, but he was like one of the best anyway at the time. So I had some good role models growing up.
So obviously, I mean, this was throughout school and high school and that kind of stuff. Did you study dance?
No. So the interesting thing with my career, you can study dance. You can. Like, you can go to colleges or like the TUT and places like that have these degrees in dance. But I don't really understand the logic, and I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't done it, but for me I was like, I'm training, I'll go to dance studios, I'll go to dance class my whole life, so that's where I'm learning the principles. And then I'm also the kind of person that when I started a new dance style, specifically like the hip-hop side, there's like street dance has so many different umbrella like styles from it, like there's popping and there's locking and there's house, and I was like, I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to learn a new style, I want to find out who created it, I want to know where the originators are, and in those styles those people are still alive, like in the UK or in the States. So when I went into that genre, or went into that world, I traveled and I went to these people's houses and I kind of sat down with them and I had them train me. So I'm one of those people that I'm like, what am I going to need to get to the top? Who do I need to speak to? And then you just keep asking. And I feel like if you ask and you keep knocking, things happen for you. That's how my story has been. I always just say it's a weird story, and I don't think it's the usual story, but I think it's because people are usually too scared to knock and ask. They feel like they have to go through a certain system or through a certain thing. So I never got a degree at all. Yes, at all. Like nothing. After school, I was wanting to compete in ballroom and Latin internationally. So I was like, okay, parents, I'm going to live in the UK, bye. And they were like, she's not going to last a month. And then 2 years later, I was still in the UK. I was actually offered a work visa to carry on working as a trainer in the UK because they saw my variety of styles and they saw my work ethic. And I'm just one of those type of people. I'm like, if I learn something new, I just grab and use it immediately. So, yeah. And then when I came back to South Africa, that was when people started noticing my skill, and then they wanted me to work for them. And I do hold a lot of respect and weight for the fact that you need to be an apprentice, and sometimes being under someone and being mentored is like exceptionally valuable. So I learned and made a lot of mistakes, thankfully, under the wings of someone else, on other people. And then I was literally, again, going, all right, so what's the next skill I need to learn? Who knows how to do that? And then I'd message them and be like, can I just intern by you for a while? Can I do something with you? Or I'd send them my stuff just to kind of show them and ask for feedback. And then they'd be like, actually, you can help me on the next project. So I think that's been my career, has just been me taking risks and asking. And then people being like, actually, you know what you're doing.
How long were you, like, first off, how long were you overseas in the UK?
I was only there for 2 years.
Okay.
Then I came back and I was like, it's time for more.
And how long were you then interning with other people?
Ooh. Afterwards, I was jumping around doing different things, but the first real strong interning I did has been maybe 4 years now. It was about 4 years. And then I was like, okay, it's time to move on. I've learned as much as I can. And so always just keep questioning yourself, like, am I learning as much as I need to here? Do I need to go somewhere else? But at the same time as the interning that I was doing, I was looking for other opportunities as well, looking for other things, and still at the same time having my own company, having my own career, and pushing different directions, because that's the other thing. I don't just, actually maybe the list of things I do is longer, but I always look at something. I look at something and I just look at all the options, and then I go, okay, but what do I want to do? So sometimes there's just a small season that I feel like it's like a strong desire in me that I want to nurture someone else's career, then I do it. So I just follow whatever my energy is really pulling me to do. Because as a creative, if you feel that energy, you have to throw it into what you want to do, and it feeds you back, and you become more creative, you become more productive in your next project. So I go through seasons. I have my own dance studio as well, and I have these short courses that I created as well, where I take on about 20 people and I mentor them for a short period of time. So like those type of things that I do along the way, and I'll meet people, and then we do projects and we experiment, or we do collaborations and we experiment and we put things out. And there was actually a collaboration that I did with someone that it was just for fun, just for total creative expression, just completely like, I feel like doing this and it's crazy and it's wild, let's do this. And we did, phoned 35 dancers. We're like, I feel like we're just going to take over this whole venue, do a weird thing, I'll direct it. Had never directed, was like, I want to direct. I have the great idea, I want to. Show me the camera, how does it work? Cool, let's go. And I did, and just from that I got DSTV adverts, I got CakeNet's 20th anniversary, I got some other things for MultiChoice, couple events from that, just from that. So just from them seeing like, oh, she has vision, she's got skill, and she's got like teachability, so people want to work with that.
Do you collab often then?
I love collabing. Yeah, like I say, because if you collab, you're learning something in a way, and you're also working with someone that you feel like you're benefiting each other, and you're letting out. Okay, this may sound ooby-jeeby, but like you're letting out a creative force, and so when you let it out, you're giving, which means it's going to come back to you in some way or another. So it's like you're getting out and you're testing, and you're actually developing yourself. Plus, you're building relationships and connections, and you're like iron sharpens iron with creatives. So you need each other. We need each other to actually make anything, especially in South Africa, in our industry. You need each other to kind of be able to put products out for people to realize what you're able to do. Like if I didn't have the actual camera operator duty that did it for me, like I can't dance and film the thing. Like if I didn't have him, who was definitely far more an expert than I am with an actual camera, how was I going to put that product, that creative product that I had in my brain out? So it's the same with, I think, any creative. Collabing is probably one of the most important marketing tools that you can ever have, especially with social media these days. Jeez.
It's actually funny that you're speaking about exactly that, because kind of how you and I met, it was through the opportunity of doing a collab together.
Yes.
I'd put it out onto social media that I'm looking for dancers, sports people, just to do stuff with. And then we got in touch, and we said we haven't done anything yet. And then we met physically quite recently. Yes. I say physically, in person. And so it's actually really remarkable that you say that, because I do feel like there's so many opportunities that collabing presents. And for people out there who may not know what collabing is, I don't know if it's the same in the dance world, but I'm sure it is. You know, it's a bunch of creatives getting together where you're not doing it, you're doing it for free, but at the same time you're offering your skills.
Yeah, you're sharing your skill with someone.
And to create something that's you're able to use as a portfolio to send out into the world to get you better jobs and that kind of stuff. And obviously that's what's happened with you.
Yeah, because sometimes we have ideas that we want to do, but it's going to take money. If like I had to do the project on my own, it would take so much money to have to hire the equipment, the actual technicians, the venues and all those things. And I'm like, actually at the end of the day, we're all trying to make money. We all need to reach a market and an audience. So if we're helping each other, we're all actually receiving something of value at the same time. So it's just finding the right people to collab with. I mean, I have had shut doors, and I always just think, shame, like you could have actually carried on the journey with me had you collabed with me. When I got the opportunities, I would have brought those people with me, like I'm able to do with people that I do collab with. So yeah, I don't know, it's something that I think creatives specifically have to focus on doing often. Also, otherwise, if you don't create often, your skill becomes a little bit stagnant. Also, I do feel as a creative, because we're making a career out of your passion. When you make a career, sometimes you run the risk of making your passion a little bit like stagnant, and it becomes like this chore, and it becomes a little bit too structured and a little bit too rigid and a bit like boxed in, and then your work becomes a bit stale. And that's like the most dangerous place to be as a creative. So you'll just start losing money. So the best way is to just stay current and fresh and keep challenging yourself. So the best way to do that is with projects and collabing, because you can come up with things that you just think, wow, how am I going to pull that off? Like, when would I ever do that? Which client's going to ask me for that? And sometimes clients don't even know what to ask for. So you need to create the product and then show it to people, and they go, oh my word, I never thought of that. That's such a cool idea. So yeah, that's the best way to do it financially, even, is to just collab.
Do you have certain people that you collab with on the frequent basis, or do you try and find new people to work with on a regular basis? I mean, you said with that one example, you pulled in like 30 dancers. Like, where do you just find 30 dancers?
So, well, because of the choreography side and the events that I do, I have got a database of dancers that I know. So a lot of them I'm friendly with, or they're close friends, or we're acquaintances, and we work often together. So they I just asked, I just put it out there. It's like, hey, would you be willing to be part of this project? I want to do something fun, and I think it's crazy, and I think it's nuts. Like, if you've got the time and you're keen, these are the rehearsals, these are when we're doing it. And I was actually surprised at how many were just like, yeah, sure, because we don't do things for fun. So I think that's the side of it that people also don't realize. It's people want to do things for fun. They want to create. They want to just let it out. So they are generally people that I work with and I hire. So that's also kind of them from their side. I think they're also thinking of it in terms of just keeping the relationship going with me. And also, the more someone is in your eyes, like, the more you see them and the more they're in your mind, you'll use them again. I mean, I've had, the worst thing for me was one of my previous Latin partners, like someone I actually danced with every single day and competed with. Years later, we're still in touch and we see each other all the time, and he was running a show and he was looking for these Latin girls, and he was telling everyone that was in his cast, like, I can't find Latin girls, and he hadn't asked me, and he just, because he hadn't seen me for a few months, he just couldn't remember me, which is hilarious, because it's like, you've known me your whole life and we've danced together. But that shows you that, like, out of sight really is out of mind, especially in the creative industry. So being in people's faces all the time, I try and tell the dancers that I hire to message me every now and then. If I haven't got a gig for them, or if I haven't seen them, like if I haven't seen or spoken to you for a month, message me and just tell me what your life is, and tell me, when are you free? Are you doing this gig? Are you going away? Just let me know so that you're in my mind. So when something comes up, you're in my mind, so I can use you. So I think that's also part of the whole collabing thing, is that, like, if an opportunity comes my way, and I'll be like, oh, Henry, because I just saw Henry now. Do you know what I mean? So it's marketing, I think.
How important is social media then? Because you've mentioned it a few times, like you're doing these things for social media.
I think last year, all my major projects came from just people seeing my work on social media. That's how it's insane. Like, for me, it's nuts. Even some huge artists in South Africa contact me to be able to choreograph them, to do their music videos, to help them even just learn how to have presence on a stage. That was all via social media, completely. They just saw my work and they were like, who's this girl? And they just messaged me randomly on social media. It's strange, but that is the way that the world is working these days. So to not use that tool is really just like shooting yourself in the foot. And it's easy and it's free. Like, I don't know how people just use it for like personal things. I'm like, shoo, okay. Like, shoo. It's like super stupid, because it's like this beautiful free marketing tool. Yeah. If you go on my social media, it's a bit bright and colorful. I just want to warn anyone that wants to do that. Also, it's at Dance by Mo. Thanks.
We're getting there. The early punts. We'll get there.
Many times. Subliminal marketing.
So I want to touch on, you briefly mentioned that you got into Strictly Come Dancing. How did that come about?
So they were looking for professionals that were able to obviously teach a celebrity. So they're looking for professional dancers that are able to teach. And so they went to whoever were the experts at the time to ask them, who are the top professionals, who are the top dancers at the moment, so that they can have them on the show. The funny thing is that when I first did the show, I hadn't been doing Latin and ballroom for 7 years. I'd actually stopped it and I'd moved on. So that was weird for me when they phoned me and they were like, we'd really like you to come on audition. I was like, huh? How bad is the industry these days that you're phoning someone from like long ago? But actually, it was for them, the people that they had asked, all those people had said, I know Michelle hasn't danced Latin and ballroom competitively for 7 years, but put her back in the studio and she'll be one of your strongest. So I was really blessed by people referring me to these people. And again, that shows you that's connections and networks. Those people that referred them were people that I stayed in contact with and had a relationship of some sort, even though it wasn't necessarily via Latin. So yeah, that was that. And then the second time, when they did Dancing with the Stars, they actually had the creative director and choreographer from Strictly Come Dancing UK. He actually came and was our head choreographer and creative director on our new series. So they had to re-audition everyone. And so they just kind of re-auditioned everyone that they thought, and he kind of confirmed who he wanted to have on the show. And one of the biggest pulls for me, because again, since the last Strictly, which was 2015, I hadn't done Latin again for another 3 years. So the pull factor was the fact that I had this versatility, and they look at what you can bring as a personality, what you can bring as a trainer, what you can bring for a show for television, because it's not really actually about the dancing, as terrible as that sounds.
I want to touch on that now because I see it so often within the photography realm as well, where when I started out, I'd noticed so many guys in this industry who were doing exceptionally well were not necessarily the best photographers. They were 100% the guys who were able to sell themselves well, who had really good client relationships, and who communicated well, networked well. Clearly, it's the same thing within your industry. So how do you go about doing that? I mean, obviously, you're a fairly
So it was the same thing.
bubbly person.
Yes, but I was also, for a long time, I felt too scared to speak openly and like loudly about any of my achievements or skills or whatever. I kind of wanted my work to speak for itself, and that's really dumb. And then I started watching people making millions doing really poor work, and I was like, well, how can they do that? And then I looked at the fact that they were just marketing themselves way better, and I had to just get that switch from the fact of, yes, your work is art, but at the same time it's business. So think like a business. Don't just think as this beautiful creative expression. Like, you'll be broke for the rest of your life. But real artists are not supposed to be broke, because we're the ones that create. So they should pay us. So we create.
So how do you think of yourself as a business?
How do I think of myself as a business? So I look at the product and I make sure I'm able to explain what the quality and the worth is. So when you know your worth, you can speak more clearly. And I also just know that I'm an expert at what I do. And the people hiring me don't know how to do what I do, which is why they're speaking to me. And that's the thing that a lot of artists always want to speak down about what they do, because they're always kind of like, oh, I just take photos, or I'm just a dancer. So I stopped saying I'm a dancer, because people then, firstly, they think I'm running around poles, which it's a whole other story. But then also they just go, like my daughter does dancing at school. I'm like, not the same thing. So I changed that perspective firstly, and I went, no, I'm actually someone that creates. So I'm an artist. So I'm not a dancer. I'm a performing artist, and I am then a choreographer. And then I was like, I'm actually a creative director. So I started just being more sure of myself and just placing way more value on myself. And my work changed as well. The more I started adding value to myself, my work was also like the quality just improved anyway. Because also how you feel about yourself is how people are going to see you anyway. So you can't, like, if you don't believe in yourself 100% and you don't think you're amazing, how's anyone else going to think that? You can't be this little humble artist for your whole life. Like, it's not going to work. So, yeah. And then obviously I had to learn business skills, because I just wanted to dance, and then accounting is not dancing at all.
So with that, nice segue into, like, what do you think's been one of the biggest mistakes or I don't know, mistakes that you've made that's actually turned into be like a big blessing? The major one that I was like, I rushed into purchasing a studio, and that was a little bit maybe premature, because I hadn't actually built up my own database, and I was kind of just went, but I'm really good at what I do, so let's go. And so the first year actually was like a fail. I think I had to pay in every month, so I was actually paying to have a studio. But the strange thing is that it taught me all the things not to do. So the next year I was like, no, like, it's okay to not
go for the big venue and the big flashy lights and all of that. And I'm like, actually, it's okay to downscale, like, and to actually go, what can I do, like, minimally cost-wise, that can actually make sure that I put the right amount of time into the way I teach? Because I was then having to teach, like, ridiculous hours to cover expenses. And then I was getting tired. And as a creative, when you're tired, your work is just really terrible. So I was like, no, how do I want to teach? How many hours do I want to teach? And then I even had to ask, like, who do I want to teach? So I don't want to teach, for me personally, I mean, there's people that do it and do it very well, but like, I don't want to teach little kids. I'm not here to be your gym instructor. I'm not here to be your mommy's dance friend. I'm actually here for anyone that's serious, because I like to impart and I like to see improvement. So I'm not here for you to have fun. So you can jump. Literally, if people come to me and they're like, my daughter wants to dance, I'm like, cool, there's a studio down the road that you can go to. Here's the number. But if they're like, I really want to take this seriously, then I'm like, cool, I've got time for you. And I'm able to do that because I downscaled and I didn't have this weight of expenses on my shoulders. And then the other time that I have, I can actually use to create the stuff that I do want to do. So yeah, I realized when you just heap expenses on yourself, you have to find ways to cover it. And sometimes it's not in the way that you want to, and it doesn't serve you in the long run. I might have burnt out if I stayed at that place.
Yeah. How much of your time is now split between running your own personal studio and sort of the choreography and stuff that you're doing for corporates?
I've done it really nicely, and I feel like I'm in a good sweet spot, but I say that, and next month it's going to change. So, but I only teach now 2 days a week, and I've made it only 2 hours on those days. And then on a weekend, I have the short courses that I do. So there's 2 hours in Pretoria and 2 hours in Johannesburg. And the rest of my time is free and open for whatever comes my way. Sometimes work will come that demands me to be doing 10 hours a day, and it's easy for me to work that around these tiny little hours that my studio has. And I've structured my studio in a way that it's like more people in a smaller amount of time, and it's far more like effective, and we're far more productive in that short amount of time. So yeah, and then I'm free to do anything else that I want to do, like randomly see Henry and do a podcast.
After a long morning show.
No, it was a long morning show.
And needing a whole jug of coffee.
Yes, quite a few cups of coffee. Waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, that was a ridiculous call time. But yeah, must do what you must do.
Oh, absolutely. Have you found that having that flexibility, is that like better for you? I don't know how much structure you had. Yeah,
no. I used to be like quite structured, like my afternoons were stuck, and that was for the studio. So I'd be like, okay, I only have my mornings. And then just the thought of having something booked for the rest of the day made me tired before I even got there. Wow. And then teaching, I was exhausted by the end of the evening. And then the next morning, if I had a gig, I was tired because of the previous day. Whereas like now, I feel like, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got teaching this evening. Oh, that's cool. And I've got like energy for days. When I leave that teaching, even when I do my courses, I leave way more energized even, because it's stuff that I want to do that feeds me, and as well as making me money, so I'm happy. So and then when I go into the next project, I'm fueled. So I don't do anything or have anything that drains me, except sometimes maybe some clients.
Who doesn't have that problem,
exactly.
Right? I don't know if you've noticed this, but like with myself, and maybe you touched on it a little bit earlier, where you said like when you're tired and you're not feeling lacquer about jobs and work and that kind of stuff, your performance and your creativity also then starts to dip.
100%.
How do you deal with that?
I had to learn, I actually said this to someone recently, I had to learn the fact that that whole mindset people have that, oh yeah, I'm so busy, I don't have time to sleep, or like, I'm so booked, I was busy yesterday for like 16 hours. People use that as like a boasting thing, like that's a good thing. Yeah. And I think that's actually terrible. I'm like, shame, like that's terrible. Yeah. And that was actually my life at some stage. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I couldn't sleep. I was like burnt out 3 times, and I was like literally burnout, physical, actual like medical burnouts. And I was like, well, that's stupid. And then as a creative, I had to realize over December, I planned and I started implementing it. I know it's still early in the year, but over December, I was like, the amount of time that I put into my work must be the amount of time that I completely do nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've made that promise to myself. So I'm like, so if you're going to be doing a 16-hour day, then you make sure you have a 16-hour straight period of rest, which means it's basically an entire day. And then I'm like, you do nothing. You do absolutely nothing, and you don't feel guilty for it. Because you have to recover. And what we do as creatives, we're not just working and like typing or doing anything. It's for me, it's actually physically and mentally and emotionally exhausting.
Yeah.
A dancer is like completely immersed in what they're doing. I mean, I don't know for other creatives as well, but your mind is exceptionally busy, and actually as a creative, your mind doesn't switch off. So you're working 24 hours a day. Even in your sleep, you're like, and then you wake up, you're jotting ideas down. So you actually have to rest. Otherwise, you're just slowing yourself down. So for me to be the most productive, I actually have to force myself to rest. And then I found all the things that I want to do that inspires me. So I'll be like, for me, I need to be near nature at least once a week. I need to see water. Water inspires me and makes me feel calm, and it makes me feel refreshed for the next day. I'm like super ready to go. I have to gym so many times a week. I have to see my friends this many times. I have to have a fancy coffee every day. That's me. And that's fine. Like, maybe everyone's different, but I'm like, if I do not have a fancy coffee every day, it's not a good day.
What constitutes fancy coffee?
Some brands better sponsor me after this. like I'm not about that Jacobs and Nescafe. Okay, that's not fancy. If it's at home, it's not fancy. I have to go out and have the full experience, like go to Tasha's and have a great coffee and sit down in a beautiful environment and sit there and people watch.
And you do this every day?
Yes. 100%.
Do you journal by any
Yes.
chance?
Oh my gosh, I journal all the time. I probably have like an entire garage full of just my journals. It's hilarious. I don't know why I still keep them, but I do. But I write everything down.
I think it's a really fascinating process. I follow Tim Ferriss's work quite on the regular. I don't know if a lot of people know who that is, but he's really well known also in the sort of the podcasting sphere, and really well known for a book called The 4-Hour Workweek.
Yes, wait, I have heard of that. See,
Yes.
I'm really bad at that.
And so he also like he's journaled his entire life away, and he's like, he can always flip back to like December of 2013. What was my diet like? Because he was like trying to lose weight for a wrestling competition or something like that. So it's always really fascinating to me when people are jotting down what's going through their processes. So is that what you're doing when you're having your fancy coffee every day? Or
Yes. Always writing, journaling, writing down like what are the goals that I want to do. Or I have random ideas and I write them down, and I'm just like, one day that might help me. Whether I'm going to use it or not is not really the point. Like, I just get it out because I believe in getting everything out. Like, even if it's just random stuff, I'm like, let's write that down. Or cool things, like I like to see my environment and be like, okay, so this microphone is interesting because there's like little spirals and there's like little springs. I'm like, how can I use that? If I were in a performance, how could I put that on a stage in a way that no one had seen it? Like, I like to do that because the more I do that, your brain is just working. So when a client will come to me, or if I have to pitch to Katy Perry, which I'm going to do one day, I'm just going to put that out there as well. Airwaves, take it, thank you. And then so then I've got all these ideas and I can pull on them easily. And yeah, so I do journal different things.
Thank you for that. Segueing from there, because I liked how you're looking at the springs and stuff, and like how you can incorporate that into your future choreographed pieces. So how much of your job is then like solving a problem that a client has? They're like, we need XYZ number of dancers on stage, and they need to be doing this kind of thing. How much of these little facets are you pulling to create something?
So my favorite thing is that clients will always come to me and they go, we need this. And I go, okay, are you the creative director? Are you a choreographer? Were you a dancer in your past life? Like, they have an idea about what they want, and then I always just think, okay, but you don't know what you can really have. Yes. So then I sit with them and I'm rather like, okay, so what is it? What is your event? Who are the people? What is your brand? What are you trying to create? Like, what effect do you want to have? Yeah. And then I'll go home and be like, okay, you wanted X, Y, and Z, but for me, if I think you want to get that result, ABC is actually going to be a better thing. And then I just go, let's think out the box first, and then we can always rein it back in. Especially in South Africa, maybe we don't have the budgets or something, but I like to always add something that's different and unique, because a brand doesn't want to be doing the same thing that someone else did the day before, and they don't want to regurgitate work or regurgitate creativity. So for me to be able to use something that's unusual that no one would think to do, and to make something unique and special to that event that will achieve whatever they want is the better option for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, like, just inside of that little monologue, that within the South African sphere, maybe there's not so much budget. Have you done a lot of international work, and have you found that it's different overseas?
Not myself though, but I know a lot of choreographers and dancers overseas, and just I judge on the World Hip Hop Dance Championships World Panel. So we have a panel of 16 judges from across the world. Everyone's from a different place. So we're all from like the best in our countries and all in our industries. And so working with them, and when you talk to them and you spend the entire week together and we discuss all these things and we stay in touch, hearing them, that's kind of where you pick up, okay, you understand this and this country understands that and our country doesn't understand that. Or just seeing where they are in their economy and then their entertainment industry changes according to that. So there's like seasons when the UK's industry is amazing and then seasons when it's not. And then their dancers are trying to travel and get work overseas. So it's pretty much the same as us.
How do you feel about the South African landscape at the moment? It's not a loaded question.
No. Well, most of the entertainment industry companies kind of feel like it's dipped lately. I don't know if I feel the same, because I think I just started cutting myself my own path and I started creating new work. So maybe that's why it hasn't actually really affected me. So I feel like it's positive because I feel like people are open to more options. But at the same time, there's this weird little conservative bracket that we have as South Africans. We're just way more conservative than like Americans or Europeans. So just as a general, like if I'm going to say, cool, we're going to put the spring on the table, they're like, So it's a little bit more convincing that you have to do. Whereas like if the creative directors of Katy Perry are like, we're going to just put this big giant TV on every dancer's head, she's like, great. If I said that to a company here, they'd first look at me like I might be on something, and then I'll be like, okay, and then I might have to show them. So it takes a little bit more convincing here. But like I say, my work hasn't really struggled because I've been collabing and creating those type of weird random things and being like, yes, let's do this. So yeah, I think in South Africa you have to show them a little bit more.
So how difficult do you think it is then for a new person trying to break into the industry, whether it is as a dancer or someone who's a little bit more on the creative directing side?
I think if you're smart, it shouldn't be hard, because there are people that are doing exceptionally well that aren't really as talented, really, as I would say, or as skillful. But again, it's because they've just used the platforms and they've used opportunities and they've asked and they've done work and they've kind of just worked their way up. I think networking would be the biggest thing that would make the difference. Like I've seen some really great dancers that are just not getting into our industry, and I'm just looking at them going, but why? Like, phone a friend, literally. Phone a friend. Yeah, literally. I'm just like, phone a friend, like 50-50, like something, like contact people. Because if you're just not contacting people and you're not going to auditions and just trying stuff, like the other day even I was like, I'm actually keen to see what it would be like for me to come up with a commercials creative direction myself. Like, cool, so how do I do that? I was like, all right, I'm going to just randomly take a product and create something and send it to them. Why not? Like, what's the worst?
What have you got to lose?
Well, so, whereas people, they just get to try, so that then they'll struggle. If you putting yourself out there and still struggling, maybe you need to question your work. But I mean, if you're good at what you're doing and you put it out, it should be taken.
Yeah, so, I get that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask earlier, you'd mentioned something about like the European landscape and like the dancing and stuff that you've got. How much South African dancing is there? Like, is there like a specific South African dance and is there like a lot of African things that you're seeing, especially now with like corporates?
Overseas or here?
Well, in general.
Okay, so here we have like this deep, rich wealth of dance and rhythm in our country, and options even. Like there is not just gumboot and pantsula like everyone knows, but there's like spujwa and there's kwaito, and then there's different like versions of it, and then there's so much that fits the music that we have even here. And I kind of go like this it's so much to it, like it's crazy. But South Africans don't always appreciate stuff that comes from South Africa. We don't put a lot of weight on it. I noticed that because when I was traveling and judging overseas, so I've done Europe, UK, France, Germany, Hungary, and then when I was in the States, all over the States, people are like obsessed with any African dance genre. Like like as in like obsessed, like crazy obsessed. And they are just, if you just play the music even, if you just start doing one step, they lose their minds. And I was like, wow, like they value it so much. And then they even place like a monetary value. The amount that people wanted to pay me, I was like, yo, okay, I don't even teach this style, but you're willing to pay me like freaking 10 times what I would get paid just to do what I am skilled at. It was crazy. So I think we don't really use everything that we have here to its fullest maximum. And also it's strange because if a brand is trying to reach the masses,
what better way to do it?
Music and dance, it's like it's super easy and it's already right there with them. It's on their phones, it's on their TVs, it's everywhere. And you just put music on and everyone dances. It's this universal language. So I don't know why it hasn't taken as much weight as what it should, I think.
So we've spoken about how you have to get your daily fancy coffee.
Yes.
But that you need a little bit of flexibility, but do you have any kind of routine, or do you just wake up in the morning and you're like, wonder what my day holds?
So the only routine that I have is I have a big calendar that I write down everything that needs to be done in the days or for the month, and then I go, okay, cool, so the night before I will always look at the next day and be like, okay, so when are you going to go to gym? When are you going to have the coffee? When are you going to maybe just sit and meditate? And when are you going to go outside? Or I literally just go, what do you need? And then I put that in as if it's something like an appointment. So I'll go, okay, cool, like today I'll be like, okay, I have the event, it's from such and such time till 11, and then I've got an hour. What do you want? What do you want? And then I do whatever it is. Like if it means I must sit down and have a coffee, if it means I must go and get that, if it means I must go for a walk, if it means I must lie on grass, because that's a thing apparently too. If it means I must do that, so I schedule it in as something like, okay, make sure you have time for that. So that's my structure. And then when I get home, whenever I'm at home and there isn't something to be done, then I sit down and I make a list of Post-its. I know it's very strange, but I take a little Post-it box thingy and I write all the things that I want to try and get done in the week, and I just line them up on my mirror, and then I go, okay, which one do you want to do now? So, because sometimes you make a list and it's overwhelming, or you have this like, it's in your mind so it's overwhelming, so you just put everything off. But if I put them all down in front of me on colorful Post-its, then I go, which one do you want to do? And whichever one I'm like leaning towards doing, it means that's the one I'm resonating with, that's the one I have the energy for, it's the one that I want to do, I'm going to probably be productive on it. And then I just take that one and I focus on it, and I just try and like carve out whatever, as much time or as much, like dig into it as much as possible, try and finish it. And if I finish it, crumble it up, throw it away, next one. So, and if I don't, then I'm like, okay, next to it's the first one that'll go up on the calendar then. So then the next day I'll be like, okay, I've got time here. Can you finish what you started? If not, if you're not in that mood, put it back on the mirror and be like, what do you want to do? So I'm very much like in tune with what is it I want to do? Because if I'm forcing things, I'm going to kill them. Literally.
Wow.
Yeah. But because they're up on the mirror, it's not like I'm being unproductive. Yes. So I know I'm going to get to it in that week.
Yes.
But I'll be like, if I'm forcing it, I really will. I'm like, ugh.
From what I can tell, there's a lot of feelings towards like spirituality and like meditation and like having the right energies for certain things.
100%.
How do you?
Well, because if you're creating, it's a creative force. So it is energy that you're using, and you have to use emotion, especially dancing. It's not just like mechanical movement of body. That would be a gym class. It has to be something that has this like feeling and emotion, but at the same time, because of what I'm doing, it needs to now resonate with people that are not there to understand dance. They're there to have entertainment. So that's a different mind frame from being like a competitive dancer who's doing some strange interpretive abstract contemporary thing. Like a normal audience member that's going to watch a music video is not going to resonate with that. So I have to intellectually understand this, I have to emotionally understand this, and I have to physically understand this. So I'm like, that's where I'm working from. So I understand it's way more holistic. And so I need to look after myself holistically for my work to be looked after. That's kind of the approach that I have. So where I am mentally and like emotionally and spiritually is vital for my creative work. If I'm not in a good place emotionally and spiritually, then my work is being bland and stagnant and mechanical and forced. And I might get away with that for a little bit, but then your work becomes repetitive. It becomes like difficult to do. And then you're working with people as well. So if you're not able to maintain your own energy, now someone else comes in with a bad attitude, you're most likely to snap. You're most likely to not have any good chemistry with them. And creating with people, you're actually bouncing off energy with them. So I throw energy at them, they throw their energy back at me. If it's good energy, I work even better. And we come up with even like more exciting things. So when there's good energy, you create like amazing stuff. But if someone's in a bad mood, you must be strong enough to be able to turn it around. Because if you let that person stay in a bad mood and put you in a bad mood, everything's just going to go to the dogs. So yeah.
So what does your meditation process look like? Do you have a certain routine for that?
Generally, I like to take a few minutes. So sometimes I listen to just a guided meditation, even just ones that I find on YouTube. If I feel like this is the thing that I need to think of, let me see if there's something I can just follow, because sometimes it helps to just switch your own brain off. But I love way more to spend time just focusing on my breath. So I wait until I've done that, until I feel like everything has gone out, like all the stress, all the worry is out. And then I go, okay, what do I need? What do I need to become more high vibrational? What do I need to feel good and inspired? What value or what feeling? And then I put the feeling in, and I keep feeling the feeling until it feels like I'm like exploding with that feeling. And then I go, okay, cool. That's what I'm going to invite into my life now. That's how I'm going to work. That's the kind of stuff that I do. So I think a little bit more of letting go of stress and inviting the type of energy that I want to work with. That's the kinds of meditations. I also do visualizations a lot, which is different. So visualizations is obviously now, if there's a project, then I think, okay, what would the biggest thing be? What is the biggest option? What does that look like? And then I see myself doing it. Then I see the actual project happening. A lot of time, there's been many things that I had visualized many years ago that I realized last year I actually achieved. I did that. Like, whoa. Like, I was the choreographer on The Voice South Africa. I had thought of that 6 years ago. Wow. I had imagined myself standing and doing what I was doing, and I actually had that weird deja vu moment, and then I was like, yes, but you visualized this already. So making time for visualizing is important as well, because your mind and your body can go where your mind's already been. So putting myself on different platforms already, when I'm on those platforms, it's like I was there my whole life. So it's not like this big scary thing. Yeah. And you also invite it. So
I want to pivot here slightly. I met your cousin outside earlier, and she's been assisting you.
Yeah.
So how much of a business are you actually now trying to create, where you've got people working for you?
Yes, I have realized that you need to be able to delegate, and you also need to be able to trust people, and you also need to surround yourself with the right people. So I put feelers out. I kind of ask for help when I know I'm going to need help, and then as I move along, I realize, okay, I've met this person. They're good at this. How can I form a partnership with them? Currently, I don't have anyone that's like employed, because I'm still letting my business itself decide where it's going to go, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can't hire a freelancer or work in collaboration or partnerships for different projects. So that's where I'm at the moment, because just feasibly that's the best way to go. But I think it's very important for people to realize that they shouldn't be doing everything themselves, and it's actually good and more beneficial to make sure that you split yourself, or you train people up, or you surround yourself with the right people who can just take a certain pressure off of you, so you can focus on what you should be focusing on. That's how you're going to create better work. That's why I asked Kelly to help. Thanks, Cal. Saved my life today.
It's been so funny watching reactions through the window over here. It's been great. So if you had to look back at your life now and look at yourself at maybe your 16-year-old Michelle, what would you tell her now looking back?
Don't doubt yourself. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. And also give yourself permission. That's probably the biggest one, is to give yourself permission to be good. Give yourself permission to try. Give yourself permission to risk. And give yourself permission to be great. Being humble is different to holding yourself back. And that's, I think, the biggest thing I would say. Give yourself permission to do things and to try. Yeah. Actually, I say that at the moment I'm working with an artist and helping her have stage presence, and I've been saying the exact same thing to her. Like, just give yourself permission to do whatever you want to do and to be, and she's totally changed. So I feel like that's probably what I would say. I probably would have already been choreographing for Katy Perry by now, had I done that.
So yeah, if there's anyone listening there who's got an in with Katy Perry, we've got a very, very, very talented art director, choreographer over here.
Yes. It's because she's willing to do the crazy stuff and the weird stuff. She's willing. That's why I want to. Because I think it would be fun. I'd love that. Imagine. She'd have giant springs on her stage. She doesn't even know what's waiting for her. I'm gonna have to find a way to make springs very exciting.
That's amazing. So what's next for Michelle Oppenshaw?
So it's a lot more focused now on my own company and actually just letting people see the kind of variety that I do. But like I said, I want to create my own commercial. I also have a big goal of actually producing my own theatre show. So that travels, So because I've done so many that were just done as by mistakes almost. Like I was like, hey, I'm going to fundraise, let's do this. And then every time when people came or left the actual show, they were like, you should really do this. Like, you have a great vision for these type of things. This could go like international. So, because I have all the right people, I have all the right connections, I have the incredible dancers, like everything I'm asking for, I'm surrounded by excellence. So if you just put it all together, which is my goal for this year, to actually just do that and go, which one do I want to tackle, pull all the resources together, and just shoot for it and see if we get it. We will get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a big believer in the whole idea of, if you put it out into the world, or if you commit to something, like the world conspires to make it happen.
Yeah, they respond. They're like, oh, is that what you want? Cool, let's go. Yeah, 100%.
I remember when I made the big jump from being an engineer to being a photographer. It was the same kind of thing.
You're an engineer?
Yeah.
No way.
Story for a different day.
Great. There's a lot of dancers that have done that.
Yeah. There's a lot of creative people who've gone from being something very, very structured to what it is, their passion, following their passion. And it was a big thing that I noticed within myself, was just sort of when I gave myself permission to be a photographer and put it out into the world and saying, like, I'm going to be a photographer now. Like, the world conspires to make it happen.
It does. That's true. 100%.
So, Michelle, starting to wind down here.
Winding down.
Yeah, thank you very much for pulling in.
Pleasure.
Where can all the party people on the internet find you?
Yay! Everywhere. No, it's mainly on Instagram, strangely. It's my personal one is @dancebymo, M for Michelle, O for Oppenshaw. Mo. And then the company is mo.int_. Int is in for international. So that's the company.
So INT.
INT, yeah. INT_ randomly, because apparently there's a Mo somewhere I'm sure internationally. I don't know. So there's that. And then on YouTube is Michelle Oppenshaw. Facebook is Michelle Oppenshaw.
You have a YouTube page?
I do have a YouTube page, but it's mainly just a lot, like I put a lot of my videos of my workouts.
Yeah.
But actually, because of the short courses I've been doing, I will be putting out some like tips for industry professionals or aspiring industry professionals, because I kind of felt like it'll serve me in the long run anyway, having people that just know what to expect. So there will be informational stuff sent out too, not just cool videos.
Nice.
That's it.
Okay, so it's actually, you're now the second person who I've done this with where we haven't had headphones on. I feel like the experience is just going to be a little bit more immersive for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, if you had headphones on every single person on earth and this was your microphone into everybody's ears.
Yes, what would I say?
What would you say?
I would say give yourself permission. It's the biggest lesson I've ever learned. You have infinite creativity inside you. Everything you need is already inside you. You just have to be willing to unlock it, and you have to be willing to receive. The biggest thing that we do is to stop ourselves, or we don't think we're worthy, or we don't deserve it, or we don't think we can. So you block yourself already, but you have infinite creativity, and you should receive everything you think is possible. Just give yourself permission.
Wow, that was like a proper monologue. You were like had that rehearsed and everything.
No, but I'm like, because I believe it. I live it every day, and so that's what I would say.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Michelle, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yay, thanks, Henry.
I really
this is
appreciate
fun.
it. And yeah, thank you guys for pulling in for another episode of Creators on Business. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Yeah.